Chapter 11 Strange Werewolf. You are listening at novelfull.audio. How can I put it? Madame Rosmerta is a witch with a lot of gossip. If she meets the super narcissistic gossip whore Rita Skeeter, who still calls herself a charming blonde at the age of 43, it is probably not a matter of time before they get together. During the communication, the stories of various professors were told vividly, such as the little sparks between the Professor of Transmigration, the Dean of Gryffindor McGonagall, and the Keeper of the Forbidden Forest, Hagrid, and Dumbledore's peculiar hobby of sweets. Ryan found that Madame Rosmerta thought. Ryan was a little wizard who was studying at Hogwarts. After all, many of her gossips were jokes that only people who studied at Hogwarts could understand. During the conversation, many residents of Hogsmeade and some students of Hogwarts came one after another. Ryan was very grateful. If it weren't for Madame Rosmerta blocking him, he would probably fall into the dilemma of the London dessert shop again. Unconsciously, he looked at his watch and it was already 1:30. Ryan, who expected to arrive early, politely said goodbye to Mrs. Rosmerta and prepared to wait at Honeyduke's in advance to give Penelope a surprise. When he arrived at Honeyduke's, it was a sea of people. Ryan regretted why he didn't dress up as a monster as the letter said, just to tease Penelope. On Halloween, those who don't dress up are more conspicuous. Ryan heard a short and fat little witch ask in a voice that she thought was very excited, Jasmine. Do you know the handsome wizard over there? Which college is he from? I bet 10 gold galleons that this guy is definitely not a student of Hogwarts. Mom, I'm in love again. Sometimes, overly sensitive senses are a nuisance. Ryan can feel all kinds of eager and curious eyes constantly looking at him, and from time to time there are brave little witches, and even little wizards come forward to say hi. Hi. Sorry, I'm waiting for someone now. Ryan tried his best to restrain his impatience and replied politely. No, this voice. Penelope. Ryan cheered up. Penelope dressed up as a vampire countess, pretending to be mature, but the baby fat on her face betrayed her, and her sweaty hair stuck to her cheeks. Huh, who told you to tease me on purpose? Penelope stuck out her tongue. Boss, 2 glasses of iced fruit juice. Ryan shouted to the boss. The secret passage is so long, you must be exhausted. Next, Ryan kept asking Penelope about her well-being, and after the drinks came, he handed them to her attentively in the hope of attracting Penelope's attention and making him forget his embarrassing scene before. Penelope, do you know the werewolf over there? Hearing Ryan's words, Penelope picked up the mirror and pretended to comb her hair. I saw a short little wizard dressed as a werewolf behind me looking around here furtively. Ryan winked and asked Penelope to follow and walk out of Honeyduke's, then back to Kate's perspective. Kate saw Penelope suddenly walk out of Honeyduke's with the handsome wizard. She pretended not to care at first. After about 3 breaths, Kate pretended to leave as well and walked towards the gate as if nothing had happened, but after turning the corner, the two disappeared. Kate couldn't help but feel a little anxious. At this time, a warm and strong body came up and caught Kate like a chicken. Kate's feet were in the air and she kept struggling. Tell me, who are you and why are you following us? A clear boy's voice said. Tell me who you are. This was a gentle and weak female voice, but it was Penelope. Kate couldn't help but sigh, and the cry for help she was about to shout stopped. Fortunately, she almost thought she was kidnapped, but the next second Kate realized that the little face under the hood was immediately pulled down. It was over, she was caught. Guess. Kate wanted to struggle, but the next second, the hood was pulled off, and it turned out to be a little girl with a baby face and black hair. Kate. Kate Leinster. What the hell are you doing? Penelope was shocked. Ryan couldn't help but complain. I thought it was because of my appearance that I was followed. Why do I feel a little strange and lost? Hee hee. Hee hee, you ghost. Penelope had a headache. Although it was only a while since school started, Penelope had already known what kind of person this roommate was. It didn't matter if other people knew about this, but if she knew, the whole Hogwarts would know, and every time she put on an innocent expression, pretending not to know. Well, I just came out for a walk, Halloween, and I don't know anything. Kate spoke more and more fluently. After being put back on the ground by Ryan, she raised her head and pretended to look up at Penelope's eyes seriously. Her big eyes were innocent and confused, but her short legs that twitched from time to time betrayed her. "Penelope, let's find a place to sit for a while. How about the 3 broomsticks?" Ryan said when he saw the atmosphere was getting tense. A few minutes later, Ryan and his group arrived at the door of the 3 broomsticks. Mrs. Rosmerta was sharp-eyed and saw Ryan from a distance. However, she saw that there were 2 girls accompanying him. She winked at Ryan and pretended not to know him and asked, "Welcome to the 3 broomsticks. What would you like to order?" "I want butterbeer." Kate, who had been pretending to be dead on the road, immediately revived and jumped to say her request. "Can I see the menu first?" "What's on it?" Penelope said seriously. "I don't care, Penelo, you see first, I'm the same as you." Ryan said, "This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content." Menu. There is a blackboard next to the bar. "Madam, you can take a look at it first." Mrs. Rosmerta pointed to the bar and went back to work. Next to the bar, there was a blackboard. To Ryan, it looked more like a mobile phone screen in his previous life, but it was enlarged and glowed with a warm yellow light. There is a pumpkin head on the top and several large characters below: Halloween set meal, triple broom special iced pumpkin juice, chicken sandwich, fried chicken legs. Penelo seemed to be very interested in the Halloween set meal, while Kate, who was standing aside, ordered a cup of butterbeer and pasta. While Penelo was not paying attention, found a seat, and signaled the location to Ryan. When Penelo turned around and looked around, no one was gone. "Penelo, here." Ryan waved, "I'll be just like you." Penelo's head was full of black lines. The 2 guys asked Mrs. Rosmerta for 2 Halloween meals and went to Ryan first. When Kate saw Penelo coming, she ended her one-sided conversation with Ryan. She remained silent, slowly drinking butterbeer with a straw in her mouth, and paddling her calves in the air. Penelo sat next to Ryan, staring at Kate as if he remembered something. The situation became anxious again. Fortunately, Mrs. Rosmerta came. She was holding a tray with a stack of sandwiches on it, and 2 small pumpkins on both sides. The tops of the pumpkins had straws that looked like branches and leaves. "Here, your set meal is ready." Rosmerta's wife's words broke the deadlock. Penelo, look, this pumpkin juice looks like a pumpkin." Ryan wanted to divert Penelo's attention. "It's very similar, but Kate, can you tell me how you came to Hogsmeade? I'm very curious." Chapter 12 Strange Fantasy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Continuing the conversation, he faced Penelo's accusation. "What about you, Mr. Lane? I have never seen him in school." Kate was not afraid of boiling water at this time. "We all violated the school rules and came to Hogsmeade. The worst I can do is get him out, but don't blame me for the case of Rocky the crying boy last time." Penelo threatened in a low voice with a red face. The 2 of them were going back and forth, and Ryan had forgotten the purpose of his trip and was enjoying himself. In a blink of an eye, it was already dusk. "Penelo, look outside." Seeing that it was late, Ryan could only interrupt in pain. "It's almost night, how come time flies by so fast?" Penelo drank the pumpkin juice that was no longer iced to calm down her shock. "Penelo, let's go back quickly. We can make it in time for the party now," Kate said anxiously. It turned out that she had already finished the butterbeer by accident, and now she was so anxious to go to the bathroom. Penelo looked at Ryan and saw Ryan waving his hand. "We will meet again next time. Fortunately, you all finished the food and no food was wasted." Ryan then said, "I have paid the money. There is a bathroom at 3 broomsticks. Kate, you can go first." As soon as Ryan finished speaking, Kate couldn't wait to run to Mrs. Rosmerta, asked about the location of the bathroom, and then disappeared. At this time, Penelo seemed to have come back to his senses, her cheeks flushed slightly. "Kate is such a gossip, today's date. Penelo paused for a while. "I will try my best next time." Ryan stared into Penelo's big blue watery eyes, and his heart was filled with an indescribable feeling. This was a feeling that he had never felt in his life when he was single in his previous life, but I muttered to myself, if Penelope knew that I was 4 years younger than her, I would be doomed. Contact me more when I get back. Ryan said stiffly. Ryan was so embarrassed that he almost dug out 5 rooms and 1 living room on the ground with his toes. Seeing Ryan's stiff expression, Penelope chuckled and gradually let go of his worries. At this time, Kate happened to show up again, and it was time to say goodbye. Parting is for a better encounter, Ryan comforted himself in his heart. In the dim secret passage, Penelope and Kate walked one behind the other. Nani, Panero, who is Ryan? Does he live in Hogsmeade? Kate asked curiously. Shut your mouth. Penelope turned around suddenly. You ruined today's date and I'm not going to argue with you yet. I'll go back to Hogwarts and watch your mouth carefully later. Ryan is mine and can only be mine. Little Dudden, please go back and pay attention to me. Penelope, when you have a man, you forget about your friends, you forget your loyalty, you. Kate scratched the back of her head, carefully observed Penelope's expression, and noticed that Penelope's tight little face has already relaxed. What followed was endless Kate's unilateral harassment of Penelope. Stop, I can only tell you briefly. Penelope was so tormented that he had to agree. Yeah. Kate stopped as soon as she was pleased, staring with big eyes, like a cute big-eyed cat. Also, with an unlovable character like Kate, if she wasn't cute, she would have been beaten to death long ago. Penelope didn't know why. It suddenly occurred to me. Me and Ryan. Kate, on the other hand, kept interrupting very cleverly. Unknowingly, Penelope had already forgotten that he just wanted to say something briefly. Fortunately, Hogwarts has arrived, otherwise the clever Kate might have noticed Ryan's mysterious age problem. Ryan, who received Penelope's letter the next day, was secretly grateful. However, Ryan was a little surprised that there was no description of Kate, this weird little witch, in the original novel. Could it be because it didn't suit Harry's taste? Ryan just arrived home at this time. In the bathroom, during this rare free time, Ryan began to think. The 7 Harry Potter novels, plus the movies, are constantly flipping through and passing through Ryan's mind. I almost thought Harry Potter was me. He was a normal boy, not a time traveler like me. He does not have an adult perspective, and most of the Harry Potter stories written from his perspective focus on boys who are more gregarious with him. Unlike his precocious father, James Potter, he did not fall in love with a girl in the 1st grade and pursued her non-stop for 7 years, while also inflicting continuous physical and mental blows to her childhood sweetheart. But it's not quite accurate. In terms of love, it's more like they go to each other and interact with each other, but James always invites his brothers to go with him. Of course, the original book doesn't say it clearly. Thinking that maybe the impulsive Sirius couldn't see it, he called Lupin and Peter Pettigrew to help his brothers. This is the spirit of solidarity and mutual help. In Harry's Hogwarts life, he didn't start to have that idea until the 4th grade. He fell in love with Cho Chang, and because he inherited her mother's kindness, he waited for the death of Cedric, Cho Chang's boyfriend. After getting married, they started dating in the 5th grade. From Harry's perspective, Penelope is just a girl with long curly hair. Most of the other female characters don't even have names, let alone descriptions of their appearance, and Kate, a classmate from another college who may not be in line with Harry's aesthetics and who is 4 years ahead of him, is even less likely to be mentioned. Even Ginny, Harry's official wife, is not described too much. The only coloring is based on the fact that she is Ron's sister. If Ron were a woman, Ginny would probably have nothing to do with him. Although Ron is directly described as tall and thin, with a long nose and freckles, these are just Harry's impression of Ron when he first met him. Men change a lot when they grow up, and freckles are a very common feature among Westerners, and even a plus point. Long noses are needless to say, those who understand will understand. Tall and thin are even more of a plus point. You should know that in the original book, Ron has a fangirl Lavender Brown who actively devotes herself to him. He is not as ordinary as the actor in the movie. After all, he is Ginny's brother, and the Weasley family in the original book are all good-looking. Ron's brother Bill even conquered Fleur, a picky Vila half-blood, and Fred easily invited Angelina, the flower of Gryffindor in their class, to the ball. Moreover, at the ball, although Ron was dressed ridiculously, Ron's dance partner Padma did not take the initiative to abandon Ron even though she had no interest because of this. The Padma sisters were personally certified by Harry as being very beautiful, although Harry also secretly complained about her not having a perfect nose because of Parvati's tone. Ginny also has a beauty that cannot be denied in the original text, even by the Slytherins who hate Gryffindor. It can only be said that because of the casting problem in the movie, everyone was indignant because the role of Ginny was given to Harry and Emma was paired with Ron. As for Hermione, Emma was not wrong to play the role. After removing her rabbit teeth and tidying up her hair, Hermione was indeed very stunning. Another character among the protagonists, the crazy girl Luna Lovegood, was also pretty in the movie casting, and the original book did not describe her appearance too much, but described her eccentricity and weirdness too much. As for Pansy, it's really not that Ryan is blacking her, she is really not beautiful, and we can't forget the description of her appearance in the original book just because the movie casting conforms to the aesthetics of the Chinese people. Harry bluntly said that she was an ugly Slytherin girl who looked like a poodle. Before he knew it, he had been bathing for nearly 30 minutes. In the magic painting opposite the bath, many gorgeous mermaids splashed in the water on the shore, signaling Ryan to soak for a while longer. Ryan waved his hand to refuse, wiped his body, and prepared to start reading before bed at night. Chapter 13, Shadowless Divine Sharpness. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's been 3 days since I went to Hogsmeade. On the second day, Kate somehow found out my address, the address Smith used to receive mail, and joined the mail chat group, but this also let me know a lot of gossip that was not mentioned in the original book, and there was another thing that made me happy. Kate told me that their trip to Hogsmeade was reported, but surprisingly, Professor Flitwick did not punish them, although there was no evidence for the person who reported them. According to Kate's investigation, the person who reported them was Percy, with red hair and the last name Weasley. This Percy always paid attention to Penelope, which was very strange, and after Penelope knew it was Percy, he deliberately played a trick on him. Kate refused to tell him how she did it. It seems that she also contributed. In the original book, according to Penelope's character, when she feels lonely, she will probably leave the lounge full of books and read in the library. Percy probably talked to Penelope in this way, but now, ha 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 ha. Thought it was another busy day of reading. Ryan couldn't help but feel a little strange. Ryan flipped through Beginner's Guide to Transfiguration, Curse and Countercurse, Magic Theory, Standard Spells, Elementary, Standard Spells, 2nd level, Standard Spells, 3rd level, Standard Spells, 4th level. Major discoveries in modern magic. And other books, and found a very strange point. In addition to short spells and the way to wave the wand when casting spells, the books are all very idealistic things. The strangest thing is Transfiguration, just one spell, translated into Chinese is change for me. The books related to Transfiguration are all precautions, consequences of dangerous operations and some theories summarized by predecessors, and magic theory is full of contradictory words. The spell is just a key, not important. A magic may have multiple spells. The most popular spells are easier to learn. It is best to learn spells from other countries in their local area, the spell with the shortest name. In short, it is all about experience. Ryan actually had a hunch a long time ago, because it was reflected in the original book, but he didn't think it was so idealistic. Just like the Half-Blood Prince Snape's Divine Strike without Shadow in the original book, there is only a simple sentence of Divine Strike without Shadow, and nothing else, and it is written in the potion textbook. And Harry Potter succeeded in casting the spell after he knew it and recited the spell. It's so strange, there is no magic net. Jack, find me some books about developing spells. Okay, Master Ryan. About 10 minutes later, a pile of books was placed in front of Ryan. Hand in hand to teach you to develop your own spells. The Book of Spells. Magic Decryption. Stan Smith's Magic Teaching. Teleport, create flames, separate water flows. We are all gods, holding omnipotent power to name our own power, called spells. Classify and name everything, spread it, it is called magic. Ordinary people study magic, explore themselves, create phenomena, make wishes, name, spread, so this is magic. no wonder a magic may have multiple spells, they are just different names, just like death has countless forms, wind has multiple titles, the Shadowless is just the name of the invisible damage phenomenon, but it was created with malice. So except for the creator, it is impossible to break the spell, after all, it is impossible to know what kind of dark emotion this spell was born from, just like George in the original book. Snape accidentally injured his ears with this spell, and Tonks and the Weasley family could only stare blankly, unable to heal. Ryan couldn't help but recall that Snape treated Malfoy who was injured by Harry with the Shadowless, and what kind of emotions and phenomena did the long string of strange singing-like spells represent? God of Swords chanted the spell gently, and the invisible blade flew out. Snap, the cup shattered. Ryan was in a state of great happiness at this time. He used the skill of detection to perceive that this spell was a strong regret and a desire to hurt and destroy someone. The skill of thinking was running. In the Memory Palace, the book Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows kept turning pages. Chapter 33 The Story of the Prince. James raised an invisible sword. Gryffindor, there is courage buried in the heart. Like my father. It turned out that Snape had also wanted to go to Gryffindor. He regretted going to Slytherin because of his ambition and separating from Harry's mother Lily. As for the person to be hurt, it must be James, Harry's father. Invisible blade, no, invisible sword is more appropriate. This wound cannot be healed without removing the spell. The venom contained in it is the deep hatred for James, no, the 4 hijackers, that's right. When Snape saw Lupin again after many years, Harry was greatly surprised by the twisted expression on Snape's thin, grayish-yellow face caused by looking at Lupin. That expression was more than anger, it was hatred, it was the expression on Snape's face almost every time he looked at him. That's right. If it wasn't for such obvious hatred, how could Harry, who had the skill of observing people's words and expressions, wrongly accuse Snape in the first film? Of course, this was also because Snape was good at concealing his emotions, and Harry was no longer cautious after entering the wizarding world. Then Ryan suddenly remembered Harry's description of Malfoy's wound. Malfoy's face and chest were bleeding like a fountain, as if he had been slashed by an invisible sword. As expected, Harry Potter was too sensitive to magic. This could not be explained simply by intuition. At this time, Ryan felt like he was connected to something, and a long string of strange, singing-like spells came out of his mouth, signaling Jack, who had failed to restore the cup many times, to stop. Ryan recited the spell to remove the curse, and then a short sentence restore to the original state, that the cup returned to its original state. Charms LV2, 49, LV3, 59%. I have mastered the most brilliant way to remove the curse, Ryan thought. But this is also because of my god's perspective. If I only use spells to remove the curse, the skill of detection needs to be upgraded a few more levels, especially when I just thought about analyzing Avada Kedavra. The intuition that I was going to die at any time made me give up this idea. What is behind this magic? It was in the summer when Voldemort was 16 years old that he left the orphanage he had to go back to every year to find his relatives in the Gaunt family. It should be around the 5th grade or the 6th grade. At the same time, in that summer, he also used the magic of Avada Kedavra and killed the Riddle family with the wand of his uncle Morphin Gaunt. I originally thought that this magic was at this time invented by Voldemort, and killed his relatives, but after actually traveling through time, he had the skill of thinking, and some points that he had not noticed surfaced in Ryan's mind. In 1717, the Ministry of Magic listed the Killing Curse, Cruciatus Curse, and Imperious Curse as the 3 unforgivable curses, so, the Killing Curse must have been invented before 1717, and Voldemort Tom Riddle was born on December 31, 1926, well, I need to read more books, but then again, I just burst out, and the level of charms is only LV3. Ryan clicked to check, LV3, 59%. Sharp Shadow LV5, Armor Protection LV2. So that's it. Chapter 14 The Mysterious Avada Kedavra. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Recently, the daily nap time has been cancelled. The feeling of perceiving the Avada Kedavra spell gave Ryan a great stimulation. After Ryan's repeated investigations, Ryan found that the Avada Kedavra of the Avada Kedavra spell is an ancient Aramaic spell, which some scholars believe was the language used by Jesus Christ to preach. It means let the thing be destroyed, which means destroy it. What's more interesting is that it here does not refer to life, but disease, and its English pronunciation is very similar to abracadabra. Abracadabra, derived from Hebrew, is used a bit like the order of the law, or translated more colloquially, that is, now is the time to witness the miracle. Could it be that his inventor came from the East, with a surname of Liu and a name of Qian? What exactly did the creator of this magic create? Even Ryan now seems to have touched death when he perceives it. Is it really the god of death? Ryan once investigated Peveril, the surname of the three brothers in the story of Beetle the Bard. It feels not much different from the spell of detecting Avada Kedavra, so Peveril might even be the last name of the god of death. So Voldemort, the descendant of the bloodline passed from Peveril to Slytherin and then to Gaunt, was born with a magical color of taking his mother's life at birth, and slaughtered his relatives, so Avada Kedavra was particularly easy to use. In the end, he died twice because of the rebound of this spell. Could this spell be created by the god of death to let wizards harvest souls for him in advance? Moreover, the two rebounds were because they wanted to kill Harry Potter, who was suspected to be the descendant of the third of the three brothers. And why didn't they kill James Potter? Ahem, maybe he didn't deserve it. Magic is really wonderful. I still need to work harder and be a little more survivable. So Ryan has been using his detection skills non-stop recently, hoping to connect to some invisible things, but nothing was found. However, assuming that the spell is really just a key, it is understandable why even the Smith family lacks preschool education and does not have some basic magic books. After all, Ryan's parents also graduated from Hogwarts, and their teaching materials should be kept at home. It is estimated that under normal circumstances, the magic power of a young wizard will tend to be stable at the age of 11. If the magic power of wizards is really omnipotent as boasted in the books, the learning of magic by a flexible and unrestrained young wizard may have the opposite effect. After all, for example, when Harry Potter was bullied by his cousin, he would unconsciously move instantly, but it did not cause separation, while the apparition with the same function, if you are not careful, you will separate, and it is easy to die without care. In addition, making the glass of the zoo disappear, Neville fell from the upstairs window, but bounced up by himself flying across the garden and falling on the road. These are all things that preschool wizards can do. But after entering school and coming into contact with magic, these magical instincts disappeared. During this period of time since the time travel, I have never felt these things. Relying on his extraordinary talent, Ryan's armor spell and disarming spell have been continuously improved without understanding, or studying magic theory, and some perceptions that are different from the existing magic system have been constantly surging in my heart. I may have taken a detour. Some magic knowledge, you can use or even improve it after reading it, but this does not mean that these magic knowledge are completely correct. They may only be relative truths. Especially based on the fact that most magic knowledge is like prose and magic perception. What Ryan really has to do is to tap into his instincts, remember it with his extraordinary talent, and constantly use and upgrade it. If there are other needs, you can also name it and spread it widely. Or take a few of the most common spells, such as blazing flames, clear water like springs, and flashing fluorescent lights, as keys. Don't look at other spells, keep spending time grinding, and break through the upper limit by yourself, and the more wizards there are, the easier it is to learn magic. According to the original book, it is the magic magnetic field. The magic magnetic field can distort and interfere with the use of electrical appliances, but it should also have the magic power to appease the little wizard and develop in a more stable direction. The magic magnetic field is like a network disk. A wizard uploads magic, and spells, gestures or will are passwords. You can use it to download and turn it into your own. The reason why some spells from abroad are not used in China is just because they are not uploaded, or the password is wrong. He has another name in China. No, it can't be said to be downloaded. All magic, non-self-created spells, except for the first subsequent casting, rely on their own independent magic source. It is through spells, emotions, and gestures that the treasure house of information in the magic magnetic field is opened. Later, it is memorized by the subconscious and becomes your own thing, and Hogwarts, a school full of traces of wizards learning magic for thousands of years, is not a place where learning is simpler and easier to go deep. No wonder, in the Ministry of Magic, most employees can't even use a complete ironclad charm. After all, not all wizards in the UK go to Hogwarts. Some are taught in a small workshop style, just like Voldemort's relatives, the Gaunt family. In the absence of traces of magic, coupled with unprofessional teaching, the level can be imagined. Ryan felt a little strange. The more he studied and used magic, the more he felt that wizards were born reality twisters. They could make everything develop in their own direction. However, the development of wizards' group living and education system has increased the number of wizards, but they have lost the power in some ancient books. This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the wonderful content. Some weak wizards are afraid of natural disasters and strong destruction, which has increased the difficulty of learning these ancient magics. This is also an invisible curse. Moreover, ancient magic is the successor of the oldest group of wizards who can be called gods. If the wizards behind want to exert the same power and want to name it, they can only use a long spell that is difficult to remember. This also makes it easier to fail to cast or even lose it. The expenditure of magic power should also be considered. The ability to distort reality is very strong, but it also depends on the expenditure. Later wizards, whether they are naturally born raw stones, that is, muggles, or the descendants of wizards who have been passed down, do not have that terrifying magic power. The development of modern magic is also based on this. Moreover, in a duel, short modern magic is more powerful. No matter how powerful or terrifying your magic is, as long as you knock him down before you finish the spell, it's fine. These ancient magics are probably more like nuclear weapons, and the Ministry of Magic will not allow them to circulate on the market. However, the longer the spell, the more difficult it is to cast. Now it is estimated that there are not many wizards who can cast ancient spells. It's not that there are no wizards strong enough to use ancient magic, but the spell is originally a key. It can open the door. The subsequent development depends more on the wizards themselves. Why use a hammer when you can use a key? Short spells do not mean that it cannot be developed with greater power. Modern magic is easy to learn but difficult to master, but it does not prevent some gifted wizards from continuing to move forward along it. However, have all the wizards who are called gods really disappeared? Are the Deathly Hallows really forged by the god of death? The world after death has been confirmed to exist. What is that place? Is the underworld really behind the curtain of the Department of Mysteries? Ryan had an impulse for the first time. I want to do a test and need data. Chapter 15, A Strange Conjecture. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Whitehall is an avenue in Westminster, London. It is the seat of the British Muggle government and many departments are located here. However, what the Muggles never imagined was that deep beneath Whitehall there was a mysterious institution, the Ministry of Magic. There are 3 normal ways in and out of the Ministry of Magic. One is the fireplace relying on the flow network. In this 10-story underground building, each floor has a corresponding fireplace to provide employees with commuting. The second is the door key. This refers to the replenished version of the door key that is only used by important people from outside. It is not as uncomfortable as the ordinary ones. The effect of using it is like shuddering for the wizards who have used it. It also looks more refined and can be used multiple times, but this also makes the employees of the Ministry of Magic's maintenance department bald. After all, too many functions mean complicated maintenance. According to an unknown employee of the maintenance department of the Ministry of Magic, among the recent ministers, only Fudge often uses it to commute to and from get off work, although it is mainly used to pick up important people from outside. Recently, Fudge even allowed him to apparate directly to the main hall on the 8th floor, on the grounds that the maintenance of the anti-apparition circle was too expensive. The third is the elevator. Yes, you read that right. This elevator looks like an abandoned red phone booth. To use this entrance, you need to dial a number in the phone booth. Following the operator's prompts, the issued pass will fall out of the coin return slot, and the elevator will start and descend to the ground to reach the main hall on the 8th floor. And I am a trainee in the Auror department who has just graduated from Gryffindor at Hogwarts for 1 year. In Muggle terms, I am an intern at the Wizarding Police Department. My favorite way to commute to and from get off work is through the elevator. What I, Fenidax, like the most is the slow pace of life. I order a butterbeer before going to work and slowly start my day's work through the elevator, but something a bit strange recently is the cafe opposite the elevator. I must have remembered correctly. My Muggle-born ex-girlfriend and I have been to such a place. It seems that the place is undergoing maintenance recently, and during this time, my colleagues in the same batch were a little distracted. Why are there so few people now? Not even a few Muggles can be seen, huh? This is a curse. Expelliarmus, thought it was a short dwarf wrapped in a black robe. He seemed to have emerged from the cafe so quickly. Only a vague afterimage could be seen, and this shadow was accompanied by an unknown magic beam. I can't avoid it, I'm hit. Finidax couldn't help but feel a little desperate, huh? I just can't move, everything is petrified. It's just a holding spell. It seems I still have a way to survive. But Finny only heard a clear mantra, forget everything, that this short dwarf wrapped in black robe is Ryan. 10th. Ryan said to himself. Ryan suddenly and silently disappeared from the spot. This was phantom disembodiment, physics. With the blessing of martial arts skills, there was only a slight breeze. Finidax, who was still there, shook his head and continued to go to work without realizing it. Alas, the control of the Oblivion Curse is still too difficult, especially when it is necessary to control only the deletion of less than a minute. I can only recite the spell and maintain a stable output. I don't know how Lockhart managed to use this spell so delicately. Ryan, who returned to the coffee shop, frowned and thought dissatisfied. Lane's brief impulse led to this simple raid and experiment. For this test, Ryan asked Jack to buy the cafe opposite the elevator of the Ministry of Magic and renovate it, and I have been observing here recently, constantly using my detective skills. Ryan found that most adult wizards' magic power was only close to 30, and some were even close to 20-23, but this time, Fenidax has a magic power of only 22. Don't be curious as to why you know his name. Ryan specially selected 10 wizards whose magic power does not exceed 23, and asked Jack to get the relevant list and find out their commuting habits, so that he could clear it in advance to make it easier to start. But the strange thing is that the power of his spells is the same as what Ryan tested before. The same spell, the same level. Facing wizards whose magic power is not even as good as mine, their spells are ridiculously powerful. The only difference is that they are adults. This is in line with Ryan's guess. He is gifted and uses his thinking skills. As long as he inputs questions and relevant information into his brain, he will continue to think of answers and get closer to the true correctness over and over again. However, this method is too time-consuming and affects your own growth, and the final answer may only be a relative truth. Ryan wasn't prepared to use it much. Every wizard who can be called a reality warper, after gathering into a group, actually hinders each other. The invisible group mentality turns into chains, binding everything. In this case, every wizard is both a prisoner and his own prison warden. Wizards are bound from birth, especially young wizards. Although they are restrained for a short period of time, they can still manifest magical phenomena when they encounter danger that adult wizards cannot do. But as they grow up, they become mediocre one by one. Obscurus was the embodiment of this unreasonable group mentality. Due to some circumstances, he kept suppressing himself, and finally broke through the restraints and exploded. This also led to the fact that almost no Obscurus could live to be close to adulthood. After all, being powerful and unfettered is sin in itself and subject to the subconscious curse of all wizards, even if they are not aware of it. It is interesting that after adulthood, their strength suddenly changed, possibly because of the group trend of becoming free and independent after adulthood. This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading. Although their magic power and talent have not improved, their destructive power to the outside world, that is, the power of spells, has greatly increased. This makes most of them think that they have improved and matured. Seeing the conjecture come true, although they have a panel and can continue to improve, it is a good thing to solve this trouble in advance. After thinking, some ancient magic can solve this problem, and it just so happens that Ryan's magic nature is actually more suitable for such a high-consumption spell. the despicable Helpo is an interesting black wizard. This is Ryan's evaluation, which is completely different from his evaluation in the history of magic. He is the earliest known black wizard in the history of magic, and is considered to be the first to cultivate the existence of basilisks, and is therefore famous. He also invented many evil curses and became the first wizard to successfully make Horcruxes, and he has a stigmatized talent, Parseltongue. But after looking at the relevant information in the family, Ryan found that he had been friends with an ancestor who did not want to leave his name for many years. He was easygoing and had an autistic personality like most Smiths. He also had a strong paranoia. He made Horcruxes because he wanted to survive. As for the murder that was criticized, it was a common means of self-defense in that era, and some of the so-called evil magic he created was mostly written by others, just like the thief in Wulin Waijuan. He didn't steal anything, but it was widely spread. However, it was also because Helbo himself needed this bad reputation to keep some meaningless people away from him so that he could be alone. Chapter 16 Phoenix Incarnation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In fact, Helbo also has an unknown side. The reason why he only made one Horcrux was just for safety, not for immortality like Voldemort. Even the method of making yourself complete again in Secrets of Advanced Black Magic was left by Helbo, that is, repentance, and you must truly feel what you have done. After discovering that the Horcrux made his soul unstable and incomplete, Helbo researched a way to make himself complete again. He withstood the pain that seemed to destroy the whole person and restored his integrity. More of Helbo's inventions are actually reflected in the magic of saving life, but these magics themselves are Helbo's taboos, and the way to save life is naturally almost unknown. Instead, he deliberately spread out an obvious image of a dark wizard, so that some of the evil curses he created spread. Ryan flipped through the information in his hand and pressed the Jingming acupoint. In order to find the ancient magic that suits him, Ryan has been in the library for almost half a day. Magic books, or magic knowledge itself, carry magic, just like the invisible book of invisibility, which makes people unable to detect it. So what risks will books that record more terrible magic bring? Ryan actually prepared to learn to use ancient magic from the beginning because of the nature of his magic. Ryan's magic was called Ouroboros by the genealogy of the Smith family, and his powerful recovery ability was almost endless magic, but after Ryan found the corresponding books, he found that these books had very high requirements. The most powerful spell, which could summon meteor showers, even had to be recited continuously for nearly a day. Every word was very difficult to pronounce, and some of them could not even be said to be sounds that people could make. And when using it, you have to hypnotize yourself as a god, use it to bring judgment to sin, and this emotion must continue, which is simply not something that humans or ordinary wizards can use, and some books cannot be opened at all. The ancient wizards and magical creatures on the cover refused to open them for him to read as soon as they saw Ryan's appearance because he was not old enough. And these are the ancient magic that Ryan estimated he could use. Some books without protective measures were considered by the ancestors of the Smith family to be books that even young wizards could not use. After a long period of screening, Ryan finally found an ancient magic called Phoenix Incarnation. The author of this book is Helbo, who created this magic to survive. This magic requires the user to use a spell similar to bird calls. The meaning of the spell is a poem about phoenixes, that is, immortal birds. This poem praises the greatness and nobility of the phoenix from 365 degrees without dead ends, and describes the characteristics and abilities of the phoenix in detail. The length of the spell is not very long, only about 3 minutes. Before using it, it is required to ignite a flame around the user, and the igniter must be phoenix feathers. After ignition, the user should remain in a state of half-sleep and half-sleep to recite it. After reciting, the flames around the body will turn into immortal birds. As long as the user's body is not hindered, not afraid of starvation, and has enough magic power, the immortal birds transformed by the flames will not be afraid of being extinguished and sealed by magic. They can teleport like real immortal birds and will not die. However, as long as the body is awakened by damage, the magic power is exhausted, or it wakes up purely from hunger, the incarnation of the magic phoenix will disappear. However, this is only necessary for the first time. After becoming proficient, you can use the flames ignited by phoenix feathers without the flames in your mind. You can even use the flames you imagine in your mind to transform into a phoenix, and there is also a comment from an ancestor at the end, using a wand with phoenix feathers as the core to assist in casting. Most ancient magic is a long spell. Without a wand, you don't need phoenix feathers as ignition, it is more material saving, just imagine the surrounding flames or phoenixes. The reason why Ryan chose this magic is mainly for the phoenix's teleportation and flying skills. As for the gift itself, as long as he transforms into a phoenix once, the flying and teleportation skills can be lit up. As for Nirvana Rebirth, Ryan has also considered it, but he is not sure whether it can really be obtained by cheating after completion, and the phoenix's teleportation is farther and more stable than that of wizards. In this way, I can go to Hogwarts often. Although Hogwarts was enchanted and could not apparate, it could only defend against wizards. It could not defend against the apparate of magical creatures such as house elves and phoenixes. However, this was not a loophole. Normal house elves could not attack wizards, even under the orders of their masters. And phoenixes would not harm innocent lives. These creatures could be said to be on the whitelist. With the incarnation of the phoenix, which was already a powerful magical creature, I would not be bound by the so-called chains with another identity, and Ryan was even more excited when he thought of seeing Hogwarts, often. He kept taking notes, training his voice, and checking the pronunciation of uncommon characters with the magic word table, hoping to learn it quickly. As a stay-at-home god, I must master it. The moon and the stars were faintly shining in a very imposing castle. There were 4 silver shining stoves, each of which had fiery red feathers burning and crackling. A delicate and handsome boy sat on the ground in the center of the 4 furnaces. From time to time, he made sounds like bird calls. This is the 3rd time. If it doesn't work this time, the feathers will be used up. Ryan thought while wiping the sweat off his face. Then he focused on sketching the shape of the phoenix in his mind, muttering something. About 3 minutes later, a strong wind came from nowhere, and the 4 flames did not go out, but burned more fiercely. Immediately afterwards, the unburned feathers turned into a liquid like ruby, and gathered together on the young man's head with flames, turning into the shape of a phoenix, as if wearing a crown made of fire. Ryan felt a sense of attraction coming from above his head. Boom! 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 The flames danced and the phoenix opened its eyes. A wonderful instinct filled Ryan's heart, spreading its wings and flying high. Joy, joy like never before, flying, how wonderful. The sky, the restricted area for humans, has now been set foot on by Ryan. Ryan felt extremely happy and relaxed at this time. Along with a loud phoenix cry, Ryan saw his own figure completely outside the system and mirror for the first time. A young man with black hair and fair skin sat quietly with his eyes closed. The wonderful magic power filled Ryan's current body, and Ryan rushed towards his body and sank into his heart. A tattoo of a phoenix appeared on Ryan's chest, and a new and complete skill appeared on Ryan's panel. Race, Wizard, Strength, 15, Normal Human limit is 10, Constitution, 29, the limit for ordinary people is 10, Magic, 21, Normal Human limit is 10, Skills, Thinking LV3, 32%. Body Transformation LV3, 61%. Alchemy LV3, 4%. Charms LV3, 79%, Potions LV2, 4%. Transfiguration LV2, 64%. Gunfighting LV2, 5%. Martial Arts LV2, 9%. Investigation LV2, 7%. Phoenix Incarnation LV1, 50%. The first time you succeed, you have 50% proficiency, but as expected, adding 3 more stoves will make it easier to get started. Ancient magic is simply not something that can be practiced by humans, but next time, you don't have to go to such trouble. Ryan clicks on the Phoenix Incarnation skill to look at it in detail. Flying LV1, 12%. Teleportation LV1, 2%. Nirvana LV1, 0.1%, however, the Phoenix skills such as flying, teleportation and rebirth are all in the Phoenix Incarnation column. I've got the key to immortality, ha 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 ha, Ryan thought in his mind. Boom, accompanied by the breath of flames that spontaneously ignited without wind, Ryan flashed in the air in his own orchard, but there was no sound of strong wind around him, and a strange sense of relaxation quickly passed through his body. You can still use your flying skills without transforming into a phoenix. Spells and complicated magic rituals are just the keys. Immortal, able to fly across the sky, this power, I am so excited, hee hee ha ha. Split into pieces. The power of the spell is indeed much greater. After completing the magic, Ryan can even be said to have got rid of the chains and is officially on a fair starting line with adult wizards. In the future, I will add one more sport in the evening, flying and teleportation, just like this to improve the proficiency of Phoenix Incarnation. Chapter 17 An Unexpected Meeting. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. In the dark castle, on the top of the Ravenclaw Academy's tower, a bright red color suddenly appeared. This is Hogwarts. Ryan secretly thought. The moon emerged from the clouds, and the bright moonlight fell from the sky. A beautiful and wonderful creature stood on the top of the tower. The bird, which was as red as blood but full of holy colors, tilted its head and looked at Hogwarts curiously with its delicate and narrow phoenix eyes. Looking closer, it turns out to be a phoenix. In the magic world, it is known as the life closest to God, the most free, unbound, and immortal. They may not be as good as some outstanding wizards in terms of harming other lives and causing destruction, but they cannot be bound by any magic and can reach any place they want. Only a kind and righteous soul coupled with a superb wizard talent can be accompanied by it. Even in the wizarding world, there are only two phoenixes that are called domesticated by wizards. Apart from Fox, there is only Spark. It likes young and energetic souls and now serves as the New Zealand Quidditch team Motola King Kong. The mascot of the Parrots. It is conceivable that Dumbledore, who has such high motivation and believes that his heart and actions are as clear as a mirror, and that everything he does is righteous, will be very disappointed once he is liberated from the prison he set at Hogwarts. Horrible, even Voldemort didn't dare to jump out when Dumbledore was alive, but Fudge and his minion Ulrinchi were ignorant and naive, and nearly forced him away twice when they came close, releasing the terrifying white demon. In addition, the Phoenix's close relative, the Thunderbird, may be more powerful in magic and can be called a moving celestial phenomenon, a god in charge of thunder and lightning storms. However, this development will cause the Thunderbird to lose its eternal life and be harmed and captured by magic. Ryan stopped thinking in his mind. If you are not gifted, even if most people learn the magic of Phoenix Incarnation, it will just be an extra shadow clone. But I have gained real peace of mind. But Dumbledores who have always been with the Phoenix, don't they? Will some magic be developed for Phoenix and gods? Ryan secretly speculated in his heart, suppressing his unstoppable arrogance and wanting to have fun. Ryan looked at the castle in his dream again, a place that haunted him. This is an ancient castle, and every brick and stone in it is filled with a magical atmosphere that ordinary people cannot detect. It is ancient and profound. The castle towers are lined with spears, and the windows twinkle under the starry sky, reflecting the eyes of this beautiful creature. This is the castle that only appeared in Ryan's dream, and Hogsmeade had briefly looked at it once before. Ryan originally thought that he was just here for Penelo, but now he realized that it was Hogwarts, a place that is haunted by dreams. Yes, if it's for Penelo, wouldn't it be better to come in the evening? The sparkling black lake under the moonlight, the calm and mysterious forbidden forest, and the surrounding mountains are like a beautiful fairyland in the peach blossom spring. A burst of warm magic suddenly emerged from nearly 1 meter away from Ryan. This feeling. Phoenix. Fox. Fox looked curiously at this strange fellow, or another self. This kindred spirit contains its own magical aura, but is subtly different. Could it be his own heir? No, Ben Fox is still a virgin. The question reached Ryan's ears along with the clear bird song. Magical breath? Is it possible that all the feathers I bought are from Fox? I asked Jack to drag the fresh phoenix feathers provided by Ollivander, all of which were taken from Fox. Dumbledore is so cruel, it's almost enough for 3 phoenixes. Isn't this why the Order of the Phoenix is called the Order of the Phoenix? Fox's naming fee. The wool comes from the sheep. I asked where the money for the Order of the Phoenix comes from. Fawkes was surprised why this fellow didn't answer and looked at him with pity. Unfortunately, Ryan suddenly discovered that Fawkes's body was filled with another aura of magic. Use the perception brought by the investigation to experience it more closely. That aura is filled with almost demonic love. It loves others and loves all things, but does not love itself. It is more decisive than the nirvana of a phoenix, leaving no room for itself, just like a belt. Prisoners of justice in chains. Oops, it's Dumbledore. He's looking at me. This should be another kind of magic similar to Phoenix Incarnation, or the blood circulation in the Dumbledore family. Ryan couldn't guarantee whether the White Devil Dumbledore behind Fawkes could see anything. Dumbledores can be said to be the wizards who know the Phoenix best, let alone this being who is named after his surname more than all previous members of his clan. Those who didn't know thought Dumbledore was his name, so in Fawkes's eyes, this strange similar creature suddenly disappeared with a little red light. On the other side, Ryan did not dare to directly remove the magic and return to the physical body. After all, a strange phoenix showing up at Hogwarts is much better than a strange wizard showing up at Hogwarts. With the miraculous perception of the phoenix, Ryan kept teleporting to places he had never reached before. Fawkes didn't come after him. Maybe only Ryan, who personally transformed into a phoenix and obtained the phoenix talent through cheating, knew how terrifying the phoenix's perception was. Unlike wizards, phoenixes can teleport to places they have never reached. This is because in their perception, they are the natural center. Within the maximum range of their apparition, all reachable places are within the perception. Even if you dig a deep cave without any contact with the outside world, it can reach here out of thin air according to its own wishes. Fawkes didn't come after him, which was the best news. Perhaps Fawkes understands the independence and solitary nature of phoenix kin. Phoenixes generally do not see each other in pairs. In Ryan's plan, he should go to Hogwarts unnoticed like a normal Smith, hiding silently among the crowd and studying his own things. Perhaps because of his handsomeness, he might attract more attention, but Ryan also only wanted someone to pay attention to his loveliness and appearance. Any other excessive attention was an accident in Ryan's plan. Dumbledore's attention was not part of Ryan's plans, and although Ryan has been reading newspapers and collecting information during this period of travel, what if he travels through the ancient Xinjiang Harry Potter fan fiction and encounters the real White Devil Dumbledore? Although after being exposed to Dumbledore's magic, I found that the character should not be bad. Fortunately, because of my peculiar self-esteem, I was unwilling to admit that I was inferior to Harry Potter, so I developed the skill of detection. Otherwise, Dumbledore might have seen my underwear. After teleporting several times, Ryan lifted the spell. Ryan, who was lying on the bed, opened his eyes and came back to his senses. Chapter 18 The Unexpected Third Child of Prophecy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ryan gasped for air. It's exciting. But this is also a good thing. By being exposed to Dumbledore's magic, his character should not collapse. However, the most common male potion in the Xinjiang Plain, the magic pressure, a long section of the Slytherin Code, and the so-called Platinum Nobles did not appear, so it shouldn't be too outrageous. Furthermore, Dumbledore even sold Fawkes's feathers. There should be no such dirty tricks as embezzling Potter's inheritance in ancient female fan fiction. Moreover, the Potter family does not have any ancient house like in the fan fiction. They have indeed invented shampoo, and there is a steady stream of gold galleons flowing into their warehouse. In the original book, Potter was worried that he was just a mediocre person, but Snape's reason for being a grump is probably the same. Furthermore, according to my investigation after time travel, patents in the wizarding world are restricted by magic contracts. There is no validity period. As long as the corresponding technology is used, the money will be distributed. Ryan couldn't help but feel a little excited. Although through all the data and information collected after time travel, combined with the original work, Ryan had long discovered that he should be in the original novel plane, but the most important person who could influence the entire magical world was Dumbledore. Leto has not yet been contacted. As long as there is no contact for a day, the world after traveling will be 100% certain, and you will not be able to feel at ease. Everyone is trying to overcome uneasiness and fear in order to live with peace of mind. Whether it's for fame and fortune, to dominate others, or to make money, it's all about peace of mind. Getting married or making friends is also for peace of mind. Working for peace is actually just making excuses for your own peace of mind. Why do I still work hard when I am so talented? It is just to feel at ease, to identify the threats around me, and to keep getting stronger until I am truly the strongest. I don't have to worry about natural disasters and man-made disasters, and can live freely according to my own ideals and desires. It's real peace of mind. This accident may be a good thing from another perspective. Since Dumbledore is still the same as before, then these are the only things that threaten me. Ryan opened the book recording the mythical stories in his hand. There are only these wizards who can be called gods. Does the god of death really still exist in the legend of the three brothers? However, the place of death, King's Cross, should exist. After all, this is mentioned in black and white in novels and movies. Past, it's better not to release the strategy to deal with Voldemort yet, but to give it to Dumbledore. Although Voldemort is likely to be eliminated as a threat in advance, what if Dumbledore becomes a new threat later because Voldemort is gone? Compared with Voldemort, the degenerated Dumbledore is obviously more terrifying. There are many ways to extend his lifespan and improve his strength through magical transformation. It's not that he doesn't know how to do it, but it's because he is bound by an almost strict morality. Although it is confirmed that Dumbledore is the original one, it would be bad if there is an ancient wizard behind the plan, and whether it is Voldemort or Harry Potter, who are the descendants of the second and third brothers respectively, will Ignotus Peverell be the name of the god of death, and will the prophecy be born? It is for other, more bizarre and profound reasons, and according to Sybil Trelawney's prophecy. The one who has the ability to conquer the Dark Lord is coming. His parents have escaped from the Dark Lord's clutches 3 times. He was born at the end of the 7th month. The Dark Lord made him a mortal enemy in his ultimate showdown. But he possesses abilities that the Dark Lord is ignorant of. One is destined to die at the hands of the other, because both cannot survive at the same time. The person with the ability to conquer the Dark Lord will be born at the end of the 7th month. Wait, I was also born at the end of the 7th month. My parents also escaped from the clutches of the Dark Lord 3 times. If I had not traveled through time, I, who possesses Smith's magic power, would not be considered as possessing the Dark Lord. The ability of the head to be ignorant of it, but with my system's ability to surpass this world, this is probably unfounded. The original me might really be the child of the prophecy. According to the original book, if Voldemort had not used Harry's life to resurrect him, with Harry's original ability and recklessness, he might really have died at the hands of Voldemort, and Voldemort, who personally destroyed his Horcrux Harry Potter, may also have his skills greatly reduced. Next is Neville. In the original work, Neville is obviously a late bloomer, harboring a mad hatred for his parents who were tortured by Bellatrix Lestrange. In addition, Harry Potter resists the thunder in the front, and he is really in the back. It's possible that a series of coincidences could have taken down Voldemort who was still alive. Of course, if Neville also fails, the person behind will probably be the original Ryan Smith, Lane Smith, a third son of the prophecy that maybe even Dumbledore doesn't know about, should be more obsessed with alchemy than obsessed with magic like me, holding the same completed Black Knight, or some other invention, and finally ending Voldemort. I may be the final trump card. But killing Voldemort with a Black Knight invented by Muggles that Voldemort despises may be closer to the original plot if the first 2 children of the prophecy died. Moreover, Voldemort and Harry have almost been confirmed to be the second and third children in the legend of the 3 brothers. Will the blood inheritance of the eldest child be passed on to me and Neville? This is not impossible. Just close relatives. In the alchemy hut, among the many wonderful inventions, several are all kinds of magic wands. Could it be that they are just to surpass their ancestors? Is the strict and abnormal secret of style because of the boss's arrogance and the lesson he learned? I hate the history books of the wizarding world because they record the shameful past of the old wand being lost, my sudden arrogance and the glittering jewels. Will I awaken the blood of my original ancestor, the boss? Did Dumbledore know this news? According to the original plot, he had collected the 3 Deathly Hallows and investigated the Deathly Hallows. Does he know their descendants? Did Smith's secretive style exclude my own news? In the original world, he knew that Neville was also the son of prophecy. Then, even if I didn't know Smith, as the headmaster of Hogwarts, he must have read the names in the Book of Admission and the Pen of Acceptance one by one. Did he pay attention to Ryan Smith's name? Even my dead father's last invention was also a magic wand, especially using the technology and appearance of muggles that Voldemort looked down upon. Did he know the prophecy? Was his death also caused by a mysterious existence? After all, the parents of every child of prophecy did not have a good ending. Harry's parents were killed by Voldemort, Neville's parents were tortured to madness and dementia by Voldemort's men, and my parents lost the opportunity to enter the alchemy hut to invent because of Voldemort, and finally died in an accident that should not have happened. The anger was ignited. If there is really a God behind it, then wait for my revenge, Ryan Smith. It's really getting more and more interesting. Chapter 19, Thoughts on the Magic Book. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Teach you how to make a magic book step by step. It's so complicated, and it's prose, what the hell, it should be an explanatory text. Dumbledore doesn't speak human language. Could it be that he learned it from reading too many magic books? During Ryan's daily reading time, he finally found an interesting book, but it inherited the common shortcomings of books in the magic world, and it didn't speak human language. Even though Ryan's spells have reached the level 3 great perfection, and he is almost at level 4, it is still very difficult to read. You know, level 3 is already the level of an ordinary aura. Of course, this is the level of overall spells. Aurors generally master level 4 specialty spells as the core. This is also the information Ryan has collected through drinking coffee at the entrance of the magic department in the past month. After nearly an hour of preliminary reading, Ryan has roughly figured out the meaning of this book, a complete magic book, such as an invisible book like the invisibility spell. To complete it, the following 3 conditions must be met. First, the content of the book should be as consistent as possible, and the whole book should revolve around the invisibility spell as much as possible. Second, there must be a complete record of spells. The completeness here is not only about words, but also about how to read and spell them. Third, the most important point is its origin, who wrote it, how it was invented, under what circumstances it was invented, and what is the effect after it is achieved. With these 3 elements, a book of invisibility with invisibility magic was born. This book also solved a puzzle of Ryan, that is, why books that record spells such as God's Shadowless, Upside-Down Golden Hook, and Close Ears and Plugs are so ordinary. It seems that books such as Standard Spells, Elementary, Standard Spells, Second Level, Standard Spells, Third Level, and Standard Spells, Fourth Level are not normal because of the shallow knowledge of magic. This is because their content is not unified, and even the Half-Blood Prince's potion textbook only has spells, nothing else. Books that can be called complete magic books can make it easier for a wizard to master and learn. Like the textbooks at Hogwarts, except for the Monster Book of Monsters, none of them can be considered a real magic book. It seems that Hagrid is not really brainless, but he is too careless. However, if every spell is made into a magic book, the textbook fee will be sky high, and only a small number of pure bloods can afford it. Moreover, some spells are relatively simple in themselves and are not worth making into magic books, like the variant named after the invisible phenomenon. The invisible sword should really be called the invisible poison sword. The venom is the hatred for James Potter, the antidote is the regret for parting with Lily. In a normal magic book, these contents should be written one by one to make it easy to learn. In a normal wizard who does not have the detection skills or the magic perception like Harry Potter, if it is just a short spell, the difficulty of learning will be sky high. But in another case, when Ryan had read the novel, when he just recalled James Potter pretending to raise the sword to brag, the spell of the invisible sword seemed to come alive, eager to stab the skull of James in Ryan's memory, and easily reached the level 5 that a wizard can only reach in his lifetime. He even felt remorse for Lily, and the spell was removed by himself. Ryan didn't even know the spell, but he learned it by himself. This is not a myth. After all, the name itself is magical, and the God of Shadows is a special attack on James Potter, and Ryan himself is in the UK. If he was in Hogwarts or James's grave, it would be faster, but it is more worth mentioning that Ryan didn't know Lily's last name. Without knowing her last name, or even the name Lily is so popular, Ryan still easily mastered the spell removal, and didn't feel it was difficult. This is no longer explained by love alone. Speaking of the relationship and entanglement between Lily and Snape, Ryan always couldn't help sighing. Snape really killed himself. Originally, they were childhood sweethearts, and Snape was quite active at this time, but when he was 11 years old, I don't know if it was because he grew up in the Muggle world, and his mother might not have told him the real situation of Hogwarts. He hated his Muggle father and took the initiative to choose his mother's school, Slytherin. Of course, this is a positive thought, and it may be because of ambition, but he should not have known the reputation of Slytherin at that time, especially when Voldemort was wreaking havoc during this period. Lily was more proactive. Although Snape actively or passively mixed with the Death Eater reserve in Slytherin, she still did not give up their friendship. During this period, Snape may have been trying to get ahead, or because of the targeting of James and the Four, he had to stick together, or because his talent was actively absorbed. The most likely possibility is all of the above. From the painful memory of Snape's 5th year because he accidentally said the word mudblood and officially parted ways with Lily, we can actually get a glimpse of the leopard, and see that Dumbledore at that time was not as focused on the school as Harry did when he went to school later, and Voldemort attracted most of his energy. During that time, bullying Slytherin was more like a political correctness, and even received positive praise and response from other colleges. Sirius would even make trouble for Slytherin people when he was unhappy, but in the eyes of Professor McGonagall and others, many years later, even though they thought Sirius had betrayed Harry's father and joined the Death Eaters, he was still a good boy when he was a student. This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. But it can't be said that it's so good. You know, even Dumbledore, who always gave James and his group a positive filter in his eyes, also considered them too much, so he asked the more stable Lupin to be the prefect, wanting him to manage James and Sirius, but it didn't work. Maybe Lupin, as a werewolf, was too eager for friendship. After accidentally seeing this memory, even Harry himself once thought in his heart that he felt chilled by others praising him for being like his father. He asked Sirius and Lupin in anger and shame, but he got positive answers. Unfortunately, after this experience, the relationship between Harry and Snape may ease, at least on Harry's side. However, in this school year, Dumbledore died, killed by Snape. The topic is a bit off topic. After Snape and Lily parted ways in the 5th grade, James was really smart. Not only did he pretend to stop Sirius and Lupin and stop bothering Snape, he also stopped showing off. Even if he couldn't help but bother Snape later, he did it secretly and was not discovered by Lily. It was not until the 7th grade that Lily finally started dating James. 2 years, Snape is really not good enough. Can't you learn to change your mind? Teacher James is still teaching you in front of you. Dark magic and hanging out with Voldemort are so cool. As a result, Ching-Mei ran away with someone. It was not until he found out that Lily might be killed by Voldemort that he took the initiative to find Dumbledore. He only started to regret it after he died. It was too late. It can be said that anyone who travels through time and space to become Snape can take down Lily, but this is also the reason why Snape was so confident before. After all, people who are favored are fearless. It seems that I also need to pay attention and find out what Penelope's weak points are, so as to avoid a sudden thunderbolt one day. Chapter 20, Exploring the Mystery of Magical Runes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After sighing, Ryan started to read another book, Magic Rune. The book What is Magic Rune introduces it as the ladder for mediocre people to learn magic. Ryan was a little curious, why this is considered a mediocre person, but in Ryan's opinion, it is undoubtedly a fantasy for ordinary wizards to learn and create magic without a system by simply practicing casting spells many times. Not to mention creating magic, except for those geniuses who can easily find their strengths, create phenomena, and name them. In history, some ordinary people who are late bloomers can also invent magic spells, and the most mentioned thing in the mouths of these mediocre people called by the author of What is Magic Rune is Magic Rune, especially Rune. Rune is Rune. Odin, the father of the gods, hung himself on a tree for 9 days and 9 nights, thinking about the mysteries of the universe, and was born. Each rune represents the naming of a certain phenomenon. Ryan found a book about Rune, Odin. The Secret of Rune. which Ryan can read at this stage. The cover of this book is an old man with one eye wearing gorgeous armor. When I opened the preface, it was a poem. Ryan had seen this poem when he was still Jo-E. It was from the poetic Edda, the Proverbs of the Master. I hung on the tree swaying in the wind for 9 nights, that I was stabbed by a spear, I was used as a sacrifice for Odin, that I sacrificed myself to myself, on a tree unknown to anyone. There was no bread to fill my hunger, no water to quench my thirst. I looked down and picked up the runes, that while picking them up and shouting, and they fell from the tree. Hey, Ryan couldn't help showing a surprised look. It seems that those experts in the previous life were still quite capable. The so-called master here is indeed Odin himself. This is his self-confession of creating runes. The book tells about the magic of runes. The author even calls it the secret of the universe, saying that every wizard can find his own rune from it, sense it, discover his own understanding, and then he can cast unprecedented magic. However, in Ryan's opinion, this is more like the wall of Fontsmith in the alchemy hut, which tests the magic nature of the wizard, but because his creator is too powerful, it is full of traces of his magic. Ordinary wizards can use this key to feel the corresponding magic, learn, and create, just like finding a designer in the previous life. Some of the lower ones usually give you a large number of pictures, let you choose your favorite, and then create, and these magics created through rune are just those low-level designers who recreate the pictures selected by customers. It may be more powerful, but only Odin or the users of rune later are powerful. With the use of generations of wizards, the magic of rune itself has reached an incredible level. This does not refer to power, but to the point that as long as the wizard who studies seriously can learn to create spells through rune, and the reason why other magic texts are not spread like rune, according to the conspiracy theory, it is very likely that the ancient wizards of those texts have not died out. Odin, from Norse mythology, is the only myth with Ragnarok, where all gods die. Odin, a powerful wizard who can be called a god, is probably dead, and Ignotus Peveril, mentioned in the original book, may be the wizard of the god of death, and probably has his own magic runes. Magic runes are really simple, although it is an elective course for 4th graders at Hogwarts. But this does not mean that it is difficult. According to Ryan's own thinking, the most likely possibility is that a stable political system does not need so many weird things, except that the creator has no magic to break the curse. They are all unstable factors, and you cannot guarantee that what is invented is not necessarily black magic, and a new, unknown magic is the spark hidden in the rice mill of peace, and Hogwarts is originally a happy education, and not many little wizards can reach the point of learning it. Ryan checked the textbooks for the magic course in the book's Ancient Runes Simple Introduction, Runes Dictionary, Magic Symbols, Magic Pronunciation Table, and Advanced Runes Translation. There was not a single sentence in them that mentioned the invention of magic. They were all large volumes of sources, meanings, and things that people had to memorize by rote. It's okay for people who love reading to kill time, but it's almost a dream to really master it. Advanced knowledge can be said to be hidden in the homes of purebloods. Hogwarts may have it, but without the recommendation of the professor, how can you guarantee that you don't find another popular science book of the same kind? Ryan studied magic, and while he had a panel, he was gifted and knowledgeable, and more importantly, the skill of detection, which made Ryan even more powerful. For ordinary wizards, learning runes is like digging a wall with a spoon. While Ryan was smashing the wall with a hammer, Ryan suddenly thought that if Hermione, or Harry, who has the talent of magic perception, could learn this knowledge suitable for them, it would not be as hard as in the original book. However, these books are hidden in the library of purebloods, and they themselves don't even value them, but pay more attention to gold galleons. Maybe purebloods like us, who are born in Ravenclaw, will be different. In addition, after Dumbledore came to power, he consciously moved some books that he thought were dangerous back to the Forbidden Area. It is really difficult for Muggle-born wizards to make a name for themselves in magic. Not only purebloods, but even the pro-Muggle Dumbledore has taken a series of actions to block knowledge for the sake of the current situation. As expected of a Gryffindor, he pays more attention to spiritual purity and courage. If a Ravenclaw person becomes the headmaster, he won't do such a thing. Let Dumbledore train students. As can be seen from Harry Potter, he never thought of teaching him any magic at the beginning, but from Harry's growth environment, one test after another, to keep Harry's purity and courage, and give him the so-called love. In Ryan's view, Harry, who has superb talents, is more suitable for the Ravenclaw path. I don't know if others have noticed that Harry, who has not yet entered Hogwarts, is actually very inferior, but in this case he dares to say that his homework is very good, and this is when Harry does not get a good education environment. Dumbledore is not a qualified headmaster, he can only be said to be a qualified politician, the kind who is not close to politics. If Dumbledore had not had a strange political cleanliness because of his sister's death, that is, he was unwilling to have power, there would be no Ministry of Magic in the fifth part, he would have become the minister and fought Voldemort, and Voldemort would not be able to get ahead even if he was resurrected. This is also the reason why Ryan has not been ready to give the strategy to Dumbledore. Dumbledore is always willing to give others a last chance, and he is always indecisive. If this strategy is given to Dumbledore, what if something goes wrong because of his strange cleanliness? Ryan put down the book in his hand and couldn't help but fall into the remote criticism of Dumbledore again. Alas, even if the thinking is upgraded, it is still disadvantageous. It is too easy to go astray.